everybody. We are back with Trainer Tuesday today. This is an exciting one.
I know. This is a big one. This is big.
We're going to be going over some puppy socialization and adult socialization and how it affects them throughout their life.
Yeah. How to do it.
Yeah.
It's tricky, but
we'll talk you through it. All right. So, again, if you guys are new to this, I am Michelle from Hilarious Hound Pet Photography.
And I'm Kristina from No Problem Dog Training.
And we're here every other Tuesday to give you some awesome training tips on how to raise your dog to be a happy, healthy, fun puppy.
Yeah. That's what we all want.
Yeah. So, again, we'll be here every other Tuesday, except for we will be here again next Tuesday because we skipped last Tuesday because somebody's dog decided to eat some medication, and we had to deal with that.
She's all better now.
She's all better now. She's roaming around the floor behind us, sniffing out the treats that Kristina has in her pocket. When you leave it. Good girl. All right, so let's jump right into we have a dog trying to get to us. Anyhow. Good girl. All right, so socialization.
Yeah.
Is extremely important.
It's super, super important.
And I think one of the biggest things that a lot of people don't know and understand is how it affects dogs throughout their entire life.
Yeah. And it starts really early. Like for puppies, the most crucial social period is between 4 and 14 weeks.
That's super young.
So young. I mean,
super young.
It's crazy, but that's where they learn how to socialize with other dogs and also with other people.
Right.
Different humans, and that's how early.
It's really early, and
yeah.
A lot of people get confused when it's that early because you don't usually take a dog home from their mother until they're 8, maybe 10 weeks old.
Right.
But as soon as you do get that dog home, it is crucial to start that socialization process.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things people don't realize that they should be socializing their dog to, because you think, oh, your dog will see everything in normal day life, but there's a lot of certain situations that they just come across later on.
Yeah. You
move into a new apartment, there's new scenarios, so it's important to just kind of really try to socialize and basically desensitize your dog.
Yeah,
to those scenarios as young as possible.
The earlier, the better. It's going to be easier throughout their lives.
Right. So, if you can't socialize your puppy, or for happenstance you got your puppy at an older age, what are some things that can happen to them later on in life that, they missed because of this?
Right. There's a lot of things. They can be fearful of people. They can be fearful of other dogs, not understand how to interact with them.
Right.
Heard of construction noises, and this fear might mean that they're running away from things, or it might mean that they respond aggressively, right? Fight or flight. If you're nervous, those are your two options. And it can be tricky. It's not fun. Personal experience, it's not fun. But there are ways that we can manage it or prevent it from happening.
Right. So if you have a puppy and you are able to socialize them at that young age, we wanted to go over some things that you may not think to socialize them to that may be common and make sense to you, or you'd be like, oh my God, I totally forgot that's something that my dog could be fearful to. Right. So let's try to go through a list of things. I'll start.
Yep.
The vacuum.
Oh my gosh. Huge, common. Yes. Some dogs scared of vacuum.
I'm so glad my dog is not as scared of the vacuum because I do it probably 4 times a week.
Smart. And there's, blenders, just typical household items.
It makes a lot of noise.
Yeah.
It's scary to a dog.
Weird. All of a sudden you get a new piece of furniture and you put it in the middle of the room and they're like, what is this?
I wasn't there before.
Right. Some dogs are more brittle and some dogs are more stable. Some dogs get over things a lot quicker, and some dogs, just like people, they're a little more sensitive, a little more delicate. It takes them a while.
Right. So what are some other things? Men. I mean, we see men in every day of our lives. You would think that's not a problem, but it is.
Yeah, they're different than women.
They stand taller.
They've got deeper voices. It's very different.
They have facial hair.
I know. The beards, they wear different hats than we do. Men can be scary for a lot of dogs.
Right. So you may not think because your dog sees men every day on the sidewalk that you want to kind of work with them so they get used to seeing them, but it is important to socialize them to men, children, different ethnicities, anything in the human that you can think of.
Weird hats.
Yeah. So what are some other things? Some other things in the street?
Construction noise.
Construction noise can be very scary for dogs.
Those, like those bus, when they hit the brakes, the air brakes.
Oh, those are so loud.
So loud. They scare me sometimes, so they definitely scare some dogs.
Garbage trucks,
garbage cans, things rolling.
Garbage bags.
I know so many dogs, big dogs, who are scared of little garbage bags rolling across the street.
They make noise. They blow funny. They're just strange.
They're unpredictable. Who knows what they're going to do next?
It's going to attack me.
It's crazy out there.
What are some other things that we can think of real quick?
Different cars, bikes, skateboards.
Skateboards are a big one.
Music. Different. There's a million things out there that we don't realize could be scary because we're so used to them.
Right.
They're part of our normal lives. That sometimes dogs just don't adjust as quickly.
Right.
Oh, that's weird.
What about introducing things like knocking and doorbells at an early age?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And start that as soon as possible.
Right. It's annoying.
Yeah. Okay. So we went over some great examples of things that you might not think or predict that your dog could react to either now or later or way down the line that they could become scared or fearful or reactive to. That starting early can be super helpful.
Yeah. And then the way you want to do this is the trainers use called conditioning.
Oh, like Pavlov?
Yeah, exactly like Pavlov. Exactly. So conditioning just means that we're pairing an experience with something positive. Like there's a skateboard coming slowly, you give your dog a treat. Something you hang out at a cafe and you give your dog treats and praise as people walk by.
So basically saying any new situation, scenario, thing, object that your dog might have a reaction to, you want to just reward them with something positive.
Right.
And that's going to let them be like, oh, hey, that's a fun, cool thing. I'm not going to be scared of it.
Nothing to be scared of this vacuum. Ain't no thing.
Nothing.
And plus, now when I see the vacuum, treats come. So then it's like, we're not only just removing the fear, we're also creating positive relationships. Right? And that's all conditioning is. And you want to make sure that you do it nice and slow. You don't want to take a puppy and just throw them in the middle of a birthday party.
Oh my god, kids everywhere, what do I do?
Noises and balloons, and oh my gosh, don't do that. You don't want to flood them.
Right.
So take it slow. And know, do they look uncomfortable? Are they taking a treat? Are they not taking a treat? Because that's going to tell you how safe they feel.
Right.
How slowly to move forward.
It's important to read the situation and look at your dog's behavior and how they're reacting to meeting this new situation.
Right.
Say there's a construction worker that wants to say hi to your dog, and your dog is being kind of like, step back. I'm not quite sure how to handle this.
They've got a hat on. There's a lot of noises. It's like,
don't push it. Don't force it. You're just going to create a negative association towards other construction workers, and we don't want to do that. So just let your dog take its time. If it doesn't want to do it today, maybe
see if he'll take a treat from you. Then maybe if you can get a nice construction worker, generally they love puppies. I work at a puppy place where there's a lot of construction, and we love our construction worker neighbors because they're awesome and they love to say hello to the puppies. Maybe they give them a treat, but they're not looking at them. There's a lot of different options, but certainly if your dog is uncomfortable, don't push them. Yeah.
Don't push them. Don't force them into a situation. Right. You're just going to create a negative association. Yeah. We don't want that.
And then you've got to train that, and it's like a whole other thing, which we can do. Talk to a trainer. But if you can avoid it, let's avoid it. Yeah,
as much as we can. Awesome. So we kind of went over when to socialize a puppy and kind of how to do it through conditioning. But how can we socialize a puppy in particular?
Who hasn't, because they haven't had shots yet.
They haven't had all their shots yet.
This is common, right? So there are a lot of different options these days. First of all, you can always carry them in your arms, in one of those cute little strollers, if they're cool with that. Again, that's another thing you might have to condition them to like. Or
if you're okay with being the person and the dog in the stroller.
Right. And I mean, I am. That's fine.
It's adorable. I mean, you'll just get a lot of smiles.
And there's also puppy obedience classes.
Right,
those are great because they get to be experiencing different people, different puppies who are also at their same social age, so they're all interacting with them on the same level. And then there's usually a socialization aspect to the classes. So maybe before or after the class, there's some puppy playtime.
Yeah.
So they get to learn, be in the same room. It's a very controlled environment, and it can be really fun. And you get to learn things.
And who doesn't want to be in a room full of puppies?
I don't know.
There's also a really great thing about going to these puppy play dates is that it's a great time whenever you have somebody there supervising the play group to the dogs can start to learn their social cues amongst other dogs. And when another dog doesn't want to play or says, hey, no, stop it, I don't want you to do that. It's a great time for dogs to also learn that those training cues from other dogs.
Learn what a play bow is. Learn when they turn their head, what that means. There are all these tiny little, and then if you're going to this little puppy socials, which are super cute, there's usually a trainer there. Monitoring and helping you out. So if you've got questions, or if you're not sure if your dog looks comfortable, or whether that's just playing, ask them and they can help you out. Super helpful if you're a first-time puppy owner to understand all these little puppy cues. That you're like, is he being submissive, or is that just how he is? Right. Or I don't know. And then you can ask other different puppy parents there. You can go, oh, I'm not the only one who's worried about this. Because I promise you, you're not. Right. And you can develop community, and it's pretty awesome. Just make sure, just make sure you are going to one that is run. Knows what they're doing. Yes. Do your research. Yeah. Look it up online. Read the reviews. Always important. Always advised. And they usually require one set of vaccines. So you can start those puppy socials and puppy classes pretty early. Awesome. Yeah, that's all great to know about puppies. Now we want to go. Can we just go hang out at puppy social? That's what I do on Thursday. Oh, I'm coming next time. All right, so that's how you can socialize a puppy when they're really young and they don't have their shots. But say you adopted a dog, like an adult dog, and you have no idea what they've been socialized to. You don't know their background, their experience, what they're reactive to. Yeah. How can we socialize them? Well, in very similar ways that we do puppies. If the rescue or shelter knows anything about the dog, definitely ask them and take what they tell you fairly seriously. As the dog went fostered with other dogs, have they had play experiences? How did it go? Did they like some dogs, not others? Have they reacted to different people in different ways? Not every situation, not every rescue situation is going to know all of those things, but certainly ask. Get as much information as you can if they do know something. The other rule would be just to take it slow, because you've missed the socialization window. If you're not, and you don't know what they've been through. You don't know they've had bad experiences, in a house, but maybe they're great in an apartment, or you don't know. So just take it slowly and use the same conditioning. Positive enforcing any situation. So you might start to pick up on this dog that you may have just brought home and you're like, oh, he's so perfect. He's been so great on his walks. He's been so good at night, sleeping and potty training. But then all of a sudden he sees a man with a hat walking down the street and he starts barking at this man. So, cue, dog's probably scared of hats or hasn't been introduced to hats. So again, don't force the dog into the situation. Take it easy, take it slow, slowly introduce them to the hats. If you've got some friends, bring them over. Put some Sometimes came with beer or,
Pizza.
or pizza, yeah, whatever works. And that way you can tell the person when to put the hat on, when to put it off. It gives you some control. And you can see,
so you can work with your dog properly.
Right.
That makes sense. Awesome.
Yeah.
So I came up with some scenarios that might be some real life scenarios for some of our viewers as to how their dogs are reacting, or at what point in their life they started to have these situations, and kind of wanted to see how you would suggest to handle them.
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So say somebody has a puppy, or a puppy. They're 6 months old, and up until that point, they have been socializing the dog pretty regularly, introducing him to everything they think they can. But all of a sudden, at 6 months, he's now scared of everything.
Right. 6 months is, and this is actually a pretty common thing for dogs' behavior to change throughout 6 months, because this is where it's at the beginning of adolescence. Which is
terrible twos.
Yeah, I mean, it's like teenagers for kids too. They start to change. They don't listen so much anymore. They're trying to like sort of develop their own thing, and they can go through another and they can go through another fear stage. Not every dog does, but this can happen, and that means, again, I know I'm going to sound like a broken record here, but that means going back to creating positive associations
with everything.
Right. And no, there are some things that they might not get over. Don't push them. Just take your time.
So what would you do? Just if a dog can't get past something, it's better to just kind of try to avoid that situation as much as you can instead of...
I'd work with the trainer. And they're going to help
you. Can do that.
And they're going to help you. Like, for instance, I work with a dog who at 6 or 7 months started to be really scared of statues.
Sorry, dog.
It's funny, and I love him, and he's a nervous dude to begin with. But he saw that as like this weird thing that was out there, and just staring at him, not moving, didn't trust him. So we did. We started giving him treats far away from the statues, see when he would take them, and then work our way up so that we go near the statues, and he would take the treats and sort of relax. And then we let him sniff the statues, and be like, oh, okay, they're not so scary anymore. So that's one
So option. You let him very slowly work his way to, and always reinforcing that, hey, here's, get a little bit closer.
Totally.
Get a little bit closer to the treat. But just kind of every step you take, you're getting a positive reward for doing.
Because you're desensitizing them at the same time as you're conditioning them. So it's okay, this statue doesn't have to be scary. And, we had to do that for most statues. But now he can walk by them, and he doesn't, love statues now. But he doesn't shut down, and he doesn't get scared. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. All right, so we have another scenario. And this one involves a 2-year-old dog that was well-behaved, doing perfectly fine throughout life, but now is all of a sudden getting into fights.
Yeah. This is also very common and frustrating. Sometimes this just happens, and it's no fault of yours. It's no fault of the dogs. It's just sometimes around 2, which is when they're mature. They're just over certain things that they weren't before. Their tolerance for certain dogs is lower. These are dogs that I would not take to a dog park, for example. Even if they were great before, we have to focus on what they're like right now. And appreciate it, and not force them to be
something they aren't.
Yeah, because they just can't handle it. It happens a lot, which is always why when people are adopting dogs, I usually recommend them to adopt a dog that's at least 2 years old, because you know exactly what you're getting when it's 2 years old. Things aren't going to change.
So there's this always interesting changing behavior until about 2 years old that develops who the dog is.
Totally. And, some dogs, it just takes one incident for them to be like, no, I'm not into this. And some, But but that doesn't mean you shouldn't also socialize your puppy, because you don't socialize them when they're little. This is guaranteed to happen. So don't. Always,
Right.
always
try to avoid
supporting.
it as much as you can.
Yeah.
Um,
And if you can't, then again, seek a trainer. Let them help you through this so that you can all be successful.
That's why people like Kristina are here.
Right. Don't try to do it on your own. I can't do my taxes on my own, so I'm a professional.
All right, we have one more scenario.
Okay.
This is my dog is barking at men, and we kind of talked about this a little bit.
Yeah.
My dog is constantly barking at men, and we have work going on in our house, so there's construction workers around.
Right.
Back to the construction workers.
Right. I know. We love them. They just have a lot of stuff going on, so they're great to talk about. This is, again, really common, because now they're not crazy about, all these men, and then they're in their personal space. So
Right.
they feel like they can't get away with them. Get away from them. This isn't your dog guarding the house, which everybody always thinks. This is your dog guarding themselves, because they're like, I don't know what these guys are going to do. So you can have them. I usually recommend doing some management, having a barrier that separates your dog from the workers in the house, because you want to give them a safe space,
Right.
a space where they don't have to worry
They're
about
not going to
someone
be
coming
intimidated.
in.
Right.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
And then, if you are able, you can give them treats every time somebody comes by. You can use a clicker, which we're going to talk about
Next week.
another time. Yeah. And, desensitize them to when everybody approaches them. And then see if you can work up to them taking treats. That would be awesome. But know that you might have to do this every time.
Right.
You might, just because they work once doesn't mean like, oh, we're done, everything's fixed. It's a process.
Right. So it's also something that if you can kind of predict the situation is
Right.
always super helpful.
Totally.
So kind of like understand and know what your dog is or may be scared or fearful of, and be aware of your surroundings, predict the situation. So in this case, if you knew your dog was reactive to construction workers or just men being around in the house, and you knew you were scheduled to have people coming in, like have your friends over for beer and pizza and do a little training session. There's
And
always things you can do. Yeah.
Okay. That
Wear your dog out.
That is the number one tip I have for people.
Lots of
exercise. Wear them out. Tired dog is a happy dog is the cliche, but it's so true.
Right.
It's so true.
Yeah. We had one more note about bikes and skateboards, but we kind of touch base on that. A lot of dogs develop a fear towards the skateboard.
Yeah.
It's loud and
it's right here.
And it's moving in this foreign way.
Right. It's so loud and they can hear it building and building. It's like, oh my gosh, what is this?
So this is another situation where if you can be on the lookout for it ahead of time before your dog spots it, before they can have that nervous reaction to it, is always super helpful. Yeah. But yeah, the skateboards can be desensitized to bikes.
If you have a friend or someone who has one, do the same thing. Say, hey,
same
come over.
Routine.
Yeah, start over there, going slowly on your skateboard. You give the dog treats, and then slowly get a little bit closer, a little bit faster. And this doesn't mean your dog's going to love a skateboard. They might, but it means that it can tolerate it and be okay with it zooming right by its face.
So not only are we conditioning the dog, but we might be conditioning our friends.
Win-win. I mean, come on.
All right, guys, that's about all we have for today's socialization topic. Make sure you make some really good friends that are reliable for you to pull for some beer.
Order
and
a lot of food. Get a lot of takeout for delivery.
And go make some more friends in case those ones don't want to help you next time.
I'll do it.
So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed what we went over today. I hope you learned a few things. If there's any remaining questions that we didn't get to or you still have questions for, always remember, comments in the bottom. We will get to them either right after the episode or at some point we'll answer those questions in the next Trainer Tuesdays.
Right.
Yeah, that's all for today.
It was a big topic. So
yeah, it was a big one and a scary one for a lot of dogs. Yeah. So I'm glad we went over it. And next week we will be going over Positive training. So we've been talking in all of our episodes about positive training and positive this and positive reinforcement, but we felt it was important that we kind of like hone in and let you guys know exactly what positive training is and how to use it with clicker training and other ways of training.
All the ways to condition.
Right.
What we talked about today for a lot of it. So. It's fun.
Yes, it'll be fun. Training is always fun. Training is always fun. All right, guys, that's all for today. Michelle with Hilarious Hound here.
And Kristina with No Problem Dog Training.
And we'll see you next Tuesday.
Bye, guys.